Tom, what about the name Doobie Brothers? From where does that name come?
It comes from a guy named Keith, who used to live in the same house or rather I did and John Hartman did. This is way back when. And we didn't have a name. We were just playing at clubs and up at the chateau, and we didn't really have an official name.
I think it was our first gig.
And he came in the door and he says, "You ought to call yourselves the Doobie Brothers." And everybody said, "That's a stupid name. And why would we do that?" And then
And for no reason.
But we said, "We'll use it tonight." And we did use it that night. And we never stopped using it. So it just kept on going.
You know, part of my job is to separate bullshine from brass tacks. And I heard a story that somebody walked in and the band was smoking something, a doobie, and somebody said, "You're all smoking doobies or something, so you should call it Doobie Brothers." So can we put that down as strictly untrue?
There's some semblance of truth in there, I think, possibly.
It was kind of like, you guys smoke so much
Right.
pot, you should call yourselves the Doobie Brothers.
Right.
It's not a true story at all.
All right, well, I'll write that down as not a true story.
Definite maybe. How's that?
Let's see.
Well, John, you joke that you're the, quote, new kid
Right.
in the band, but pretty old new kid in terms of service to the band, because my notes show you came in 1978.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's just one of those. But these guys, you know, when you're talking about the long train running, these guys had the train rolling just fine before I got there. So I feel really fortunate that I got to, you know, become part of this. But it's been, gosh, 38 years or something now. I mean, almost coming up on 40 almost. But I'm the new guy.
I'm hoping not to get the same answer all the way around, but we'll go down the line, beginning with you, John. What's your favorite Doobie Brothers song?
Okay, boy, that's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
It'll sound like I'm bragging on the band, but there's a lot of good songs. I guess I kind of like, I like South City Midnight Lady. That's a good song. One of Pat's songs. That's one of my favorites when we do play it.
And Tom, how about you?
It is a really hard question to answer, simply because as a writer, we've written so many songs. And at any given period of time, you might be really into one song, and then the next week maybe it'll be a different song. And I'll just throw this out there because it's my safety catch. I can say this because I'm a blues nut. So I wrote a song called Dark Eyed Cajun Woman, and I was really thrilled with how that came out. And, you know, it wasn't a charts topper or anything like that, but it was a blues tune. It was a real blues tune, and the band was playing the blues.
All right, Patrick.
Probably have more than one favorite. I'll throw this out there just because it kind of makes sense. We do listen to the music every night, and I kind of, it's sort of the anthem of the band. You know, it's like what we're all about. You know, you know, I think we enjoy what we do. We love playing music. I've loved it all. I've been playing music almost as long as I've been alive, since I was a little kid. And here I am still doing it. And that song is, you know, expresses that joy of sharing music and the great feeling that brings of sharing it with really the world. I think that's the way Tom wrote it. You know, it was supposed to be, you know, an anthem of let's bring everybody, all these guys, all these world leaders together, and we'll sit out on a grassy knoll somewhere and, you know, have bands playing. And
this is during the Vietnam era. The idea was to get the world leaders to use music instead of language, because language wasn't working. So
I'm saying language wasn't working. Why not listen to the music and try it?
right.
yeah.
Well, now I'll share something with you. I had guessed that listening to the music might be the favorite. One, you mentioned it's become an anthem for the band. It's actually become one of the best-known rock anthems in the history of the genre.
Well, we're very happy about that. Needless to say, we don't have any complaints about that.
It's kind of one of those, you know, we play it near the end of the set, and, you know, you can look at people's eyes and the nostalgia. I mean, it was our first hit back in
First single, yeah.
72, I guess. So, you know, the people who have been following us for a long time, and people that remember at least the 70s, you can see, you know, the connection there in their eyes when we play the song.
Among the many remarkable things about the Doobie Brothers is have you stayed together. Let's talk about how you've managed to do that. Look, no three people can
We
travel.
haven't.
But how have you managed that? You know, you're bound to have disagreements of one kind or another, either personal or professional along the way. How do you do it, Tom?
Well, there are periods where the band did disband for a little while, or one guy left or another guy came in, and there's been a lot of that in this band. As it stands right now, we've been doing it steadily since 1989, and with us here, us three guys. But it's, yeah, you're around each other more than you are your family. I mean, you're around each other more than you are anybody else on the planet, period. I don't care who it is. And it's just a matter of you make allowances. You sort of have to. And just like you make allowances for the travel, you make allowances for being deadbeat, but you got to get up on that stage and you got to perform. Well, they don't care if you're deadbeat, they want to show. Yeah. Any of that kind of stuff can get fixed, and I firmly believe this, once you get on the stage. And I watched Greg Allman tell you this. This is why I'm bringing this up, because I watched him say the same thing. He says, you can have this hurting or that hurting, or you could have been in an argument with somebody. You could have been this. As soon as you get on that stage, it all goes away, and it's all fine, because that's why you're here. That's why you're doing it, is to be up on that stage playing music for people. And I think that helps a lot of things get fixed right there.
I think another factor too is that you guys can weigh in on this, but as we've gotten older, I think we appreciate it more too. We appreciate what we have, the music and
Sure.
the good stuff that's here.
I think we have a sense of family among the band members, the other players that, people call them side men. I don't look at them that way. To me, they're as much an integral part of what we do as what we are. Our crew, it's a family, and you try to, if you treat it that way, it goes a lot further. You have patience the same way you would with members of your family. You don't want to break up the family. You want the family to survive and keep going. I think a lot of bands, a part of that too is we have had changes in the band. We have had other people come, we've had them go. In a sense, that's preserved the band by those other people coming in and keeping the ball rolling, keeping the band working. And it's enabled us to come back after taking a little break and reapproach it and continue. With the band, Tom and I started the band, so I think we probably feel a certain sense of responsibility, if you will, for keeping it going. But again, it all comes back to trying to make it a family, enterprise, really.
You mentioned Tom before. You said after all, the band has broken up from time to time. I have to raise a subject I know is touchy. But let's talk about, at least briefly, the McDonald period with the band. At least in brief, what happened?
I'm the one that had to leave. I had an ulcer, and it was a really, really bad ulcer. And I ended up in the hospital for a year with it. And initially, my understanding, and I'm doing this sort of second-handed here, Mike was brought in to do backgrounds, fill in with keyboards, and I think Jeff Baxter is the one that brought him on board from Steely Dan. And as it turned out, Mike had this huge treasure trove of songs sitting there that nobody knew about, and changed the direction of the band.
And he was musically. An okay singer.
Incredible singer. And what Pat just said, it kept the ball rolling. It was another direction altogether musically, but it was a popular one for a lot of people. They really liked this change. So these kinds of things, you can call them blessings, you can call them whatever you want, but they happen for a reason, and that worked.
Again, things, just happen sporadically within the band, and at that time, Mike came in, like Tom said, to just basically help out with, getting us over the hump and do some singing. And I don't think he had a treasure trove of songs as much as he had a couple of really great songs, and then by having that opportunity to present his material, I think he became inspired and started writing a lot more.